Part 8. Good Man, He Has a Golden Finger. Author, Jonghu Buletinjian. Chapter 71. This year is bound to be a busy year for the people in Shijia village. The vegetables in the greenhouse mature almost once a month. In order to transport these vegetables, village chief Xie also borrowed money to buy a special truck to transport goods, so that the vegetables can be sent to the county after they mature and sold. Although it is winter now, the vegetable markets and hotels in the county need these vegetables. The original loan of 200,000 yuan has been repaid by the villagers, and each household has earned hundreds of yuan. Seeing that the village's economic development is getting better and better, village chief Xie has discussed with Mr. Xie and waved his hand. Next year, the people in Shijia village will not go out to work, but build greenhouses at home. As the village chief took the lead, village chief Xie borrowed a lot of money again, and then used other idle land in the village to directly build a super large vegetable greenhouse. They listened to Xie Ting's words and knew that this greenhouse could grow vegetables in winter and some southern fruits in summer. Of course, this is just an early plan. The Xie family is large, and they made a lot of money from the greenhouse vegetables this time. After the weather got a little better in March after the Chinese New Year, Mr. Xie started to distribute the money. On the big table in the front hall of the Xie family, there were piles of money, and everyone in the Xie family was staring with wide eyes. They had never seen so much money in their lives. There were tens of thousands of dollars in these piles, all earned after a busy winter. The Xie family was large, and they helped the villagers sell vegetables, so they naturally earned more, so the money looked really shocking. Today, I asked everyone to come here to talk about the money we earned. Do you think I should give it to you directly, or keep it with me first, and come to get it when you need it? Mr. Xie was not the kind of person who liked to hold all the money in his hands, so he also hoped to distribute the money now, but they would take the exam in July, and then they would go to Shangjing City together, and there were many places to spend money. Dad, I'll listen to you. I still have money here. Xie Jianxi spoke directly. It's true that this money is tempting, but it's earned by everyone's hard work. If it's all divided, the family members are afraid that too much money will affect their ideas. Others naturally nodded. Just seeing and knowing that the family has so much money is enough. They have never thought about dividing it. After all, they eat from the same pot. If they need money, each small family has a minimum of 500 yuan. When they need it, they can just ask grandpa for it. The Xie family ran around the county for several months, and even went to a farther city. After seeing the big world, they realized that after the new policy came down, there were so many self-employed people, and everyone made so much money. The money they earned from selling vegetables was just a fraction of others. Xie Tingzhou also had money in his hand, so he didn't care much about the money. In the end, everyone agreed to put the money together first and give it when they needed it in the future. After the discussion, it was time to study hard in the spring. The educated youth who had gone to college before sent a lot of books. Now Xie Tingzhou led everyone to study together. The study that seemed extremely difficult to others before was not much pressure for the Xie family members who had photographic memory now. In addition, studying was not easy, and everyone cherished this opportunity. In this way, when the people of Shijia village worked hard, the people of Shijia village were busy studying. They could not make enough money, and they had to learn more knowledge. In this way, in the busy study, time quickly came to the end of June, and it was time for the exam. The children in the family were entrusted to the village chief, and the Xie family was taken to the exam by Mr. Xie, which shocked the villagers. They thought that Mr. Xie was worthy of being a leader, and his ideological awareness was high. He was still studying at such an old age. As for the other people in the Xie family studying, the people of Shijia village did not have much idea. After all, how much money did the greenhouse vegetables make for everyone? Everyone had enough food, and they saved a lot, so everyone blessed the Xie family to take the exam. It was the first time for the college entrance examination. Mr. Xie was very nervous, and so were the others. Although they had studied at home for a year and felt that they were learning very fast, they had never experienced a formal exam, so they were naturally nervous. When they got to the examination room, this kind of nervousness disappeared inexplicably. They found that these questions were indeed those that Xie Tingzhou had asked before, so they were very easy to answer. There were many political questions that needed to be memorized in the exams these days, so it was easier for the Xie family. After the exam, everyone asked each other and felt that it was okay. After returning home, they were still a little uneasy, but Xie Tingzhou was open-minded. "Don't worry, this question is not that difficult, we will definitely pass the exam." This time, except for the children in the family, everyone took the exam, a total of more than a dozen people. How could they not be nervous? These days, you first apply for your choice, and then after the scores are released, you can get a notice if you can get in. The schools that the Xie family applied for this time are actually different. Xie Tingzhou applied for Shangjing University to study mechanical engineering. Others applied for Beijing Medical University, and some applied for Beijing Normal University. Anyway, everyone has different goals. The people in the village are also curious. This time, the Xie family will apply together. Can Tingzhou pass the exam? At this moment, someone also remembered that Liang Yan from the next village has also been in school for a year. Why didn't she come home all year? I heard that she didn't even write a letter to her family. The weather gradually got hotter. At the end of July, the village chief excitedly rushed to the Xie family. He was holding a lot of university admission letters in his hand. "Uncle, you really have this?" Village Chief Xie couldn't help but give a thumbs up to Mr. Xie, because Mr. Xie was actually admitted to Shangjing Normal University at the age of over 70, which was really shocking. Xie Jianxi and Guohong were also normal school students. Xie Chunyue and her husband Xie Cheng were Shangjing Medical University, and Xie Weiman and Xie Quarong were also applying for normal school. This family actually all got into college. Especially Xie Tingzhou was admitted with a high score. Directly entered Shangjing University. This is the most powerful university in the country. Liang Bailing and her parents were also admitted. With such a photographic memory, how could they not be admitted? The three of them majored in foreign languages and went to the same school as Xie Tingzhou in order to take care of Xie Tingzhou. The news soon spread throughout the village, and even the neighboring village knew that the Xie family had studied hard and passed the entrance exam to a university in Shangjing City, and would go to Shangjing City to study in September. The Liang family also heard the news, and they were so angry that Mr. Liang almost vomited blood. After all, it was enough to be happy that Liang Yan was a scholar in their family. The Xie family had the whole family go to university, which was equivalent to changing their status. In the future, they would be a world apart from the country people like them. Especially after hearing that his second son, who was not very promising, was also admitted to university, Mr. Liang was even more angry. As a result, he ended up paralyzed in bed, and his wife and son could only serve him all day long. The people in Shijia village were all happy. When they saw Xie Tingzhou, they all blessed him. Mr. Xie clapped his hands and directly chose to hold a grand buffet, inviting the villagers to eat together. After all, he would go to Shangjing City to study in September, and the house at home would have to be taken care of by the villagers. Everyone was happy to eat the buffet, so they naturally agreed to it. In August and September, the Xie family was very busy. Grandpa Xie took people to arrange for their land and house to be rented out directly, while Xie Jianxi was arranged to Shangjing City in advance, planning to rent a house in Shangjing City, and if he had enough money, he would buy one directly. Xie Jianxi took his two sons and a son-in-law and went straight to Shangjing City. After asking around, he bought a house next to Shangjing University, spending 60,000 yuan. The yard was very large, and everyone could live together in the future. Looking at the hustle and bustle of the capital, Xie had never thought in his life that he could go to school outside and see such a big world. Now he is even more high-spirited and just wants to take his family one step further. After September, Grandpa Xie and all the rest of the family arranged their family affairs and came to the university in Shangjing City to register together. Everyone was riding a car for the first time, but they were all taken care of by their families, so they were not too nervous. On the day of reporting, everyone went to report separately. Even so, the people of Shangjing Normal University were very surprised, because they had seen people coming to school with their children, but they had never seen a whole family admitted to a normal university. It seems that this family has good learning genes. Xie Tingzhou also successfully entered his own Shangjing University and started his study career. In the next few years, the Xie family is destined to become the most valued and proud students in every school. After all, which student can easily remember everything he has seen? Just as the Xie family absorbed the knowledge from this world's top university like a sponge, Liang Yan was taking care of the child. The child she took care of was of course not her own, but the child left by Gu Hang's ex-wife. It is said that she couldn't stand Gu Hang's long absence from home, so she ran away. Liang Yan sneered at such a woman, thinking that it was normal for the husband to be a soldier and the woman to stay at home. But something that made Liang Yan collapse happened. In the 4th year that Liang Yan lived in Gu Hang's house, Gu Hang, who was serving in the sea, came back. It was strange to see a woman in the house, but Liang Yan was very enthusiastic about Gu Hang, and her heart was directly on his face. But Gu Hang was a little cold to Liang Yan, but he cared a lot about his mother Lu Yuan. After giving all the allowance to his mother, Liang Yan actually saw that Gu Hang, such a big man, had to sleep with his mother Lu Yuan at night. Liang Yan was really broken now. How could this happen? Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 72. If she hadn't seen all this with her own eyes, Liang Yan would never have believed that the high official in her mind, the man who made her cousin proud, actually slept with her mother Lu Yuan when he returned from serving as a soldier to visit relatives. A room. It is true that Lu Yuan is a widow. Her husband died at the age of 30, leaving Lu Yuan with only one son, Gu Hang. She has always protected Gu Hang from getting married, raised him up, and even gave him a son. Gu Hang married a wife and had children. In the hearts of the people around him, Lu Yuan was the best wife and the best mother. Gu Hang has been serving as a soldier outside. Even after marrying his wife, he only comes home once every 2 years. So Gu Hang's wife ran away before, and no one was surprised. They said that the young girl couldn't keep her guard, and she ran away because she couldn't bear it. She was lonely, and after Gu Hang's wife left, Lu Yuan didn't cry and complain about her. Now the people around her felt that Lu Yuan was better. Liang Yan has lived in Lu Yuan's house for 4 years. This house is an old house with 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. Lu Yuan has a room for herself and a study room. The other room was originally for her daughter-in-law. After Liang Yan moved in, she took her children with her. Live inside. During the day, Lu Yuan brought her children to the factory. There was a kindergarten in the factory, and children could attend school for free. Liang Yan had been admitted to a normal university before, and there was such an admission notice, so Lu Yuan tried every means to get it. When I teach in an elementary school in a factory, I earn 100 yuan a month, which is considered a high salary. However, Liang Yan only wanted to marry Gu Hang, so she naturally tried to please Lu Yuan in every possible way. She received a salary of 100 yuan a month, leaving only 10 yuan for herself, and the remaining 90 yuan was given to this mother-in-law. Lu Yuan refused at first, but couldn't resist Liang Yan and insisted on giving it, so she had no choice but to accept it. In this way, Liang Yan not only worked as a nanny for the children and cooked for Lu Yuan at Lu Yuan's house, but she also went to work for Lu Yuanhu at the same time. This was something Liang Yan would never do before, but now she wants to be the wife of the military commander in the future. Liang Yan endured it anyway. Just waiting and waiting, I waited until Gu Hang came back, thinking that I could finally marry Gu Hang, and then wait until Gu Hang became successful and become the wife of the army commander. Unexpectedly, Gu Hang came back and ignored Liang Yan's flirtatious glances. Instead, he chose to share a room with his mother at night. After Liang Yan came out to prepare breakfast in the morning, she saw Gu Hang coming out of Lu Yuan's room. When I came out, even though I knew there was nothing possible between the two of them, I was still a little disgusted. When Gu Hang went out to help with the work, Liang Yan couldn't help but say, "Auntie, you promised before that when Gu Hang comes back, we will get the marriage certificate. In this case, I can take good care of you when Gu Hang is not at home." She still wanted to be the wife of the military commander, and felt that it was okay for Lu Yuan and Gu Hang to be intimate, and she could just change it in the future. As a result, Lu Yuan rolled her eyes, and then looked at Liang Yan with disdain. "Liang Yan, what do you mean? My son finally came home, how could you make such a rude request? You don't even know that you have no father or mother, and you live in my house directly. If I hadn't taken you in, you would have been living on the street. Why would you want to retaliate with kindness now? Does my son seem to be in need of a wife?" Lu Yuan, who was originally extremely happy because her son came home, was furious at this moment. She thought about marrying a daughter from a leader's family and letting her son rise up the ranks after her son was promoted. How could she marry Liang Yan? What about a shameless woman? Liang Yan was immediately furious. Even a clay figurine has a temper. She originally wanted to be the wife of the military commander, but now she was treated like this by Lu Yuan. Liang Yan threw the dishes and chopsticks angrily. "What do you mean you took me in? It's true that I live here, but I gave you a salary of 100 yuan a month, what else do you want? And what do you think I did about you sleeping with Gu Hang last night? Didn't you see it? You two are so shameless and disgusting, so you are not afraid of being known by others. Who will you blame if the whole courtyard knows about it? And how did Gu Hang's wife run away in the first place? Didn't you get angry and leave?" At this moment, Liang Yan finally came to her senses and remembered that everyone said that Gu Hang's wife couldn't stand her loneliness and ran away, but she couldn't tell exactly what happened. Now Liang Yan finally remembered. But she didn't care what happened to Lu Yuan and Gu Hang. She just wanted to be the army commander's wife. Lu Yuan was going to die sooner or later anyway. 4 years had passed in 10 years. In 6 more years, she would have killed this woman. You vicious woman. How can you speculate on my relationship with my son like this? We are the most innocent people in the world." Lu Yuan was so angry that she wanted to point at Liang Yan's nose and scold her. But Liang Yan was already willing to risk it and threatened directly. "Let me tell you, if you don't let Gu Hang apply for a marriage certificate with me, then I will go out and tell everyone that you sleep in the same room with Gu Hang at night. Guess whether the people outside are saying the same thing about you as you imagined, innocent? When your son's comrades know about this, do you think he can be promoted if he goes back?" Hitting the snake 7 inches, Liang Yan had a handle on Lu Yuan, so that Lu Yuan did not dare to resist. In the end, Liang Yan naturally successfully obtained the marriage certificate from Gu Hang. Lu Yuan had brought her son up since he was a child. Gu Hang was the most obedient to his mother. In this world, if it were a woman, Gu Hang was the only one who believed the most. The person she was married to was her biological mother. The original wife was asked to marry by her biological mother. Now this biological mother asked her to marry her, so Gu Hang agreed. This year, Liang Yan married Gu Hang. There was no wedding, no blessing, and Liang Yan didn't even dare to go home, not even calling home. Gu Hang left after the marriage, and Liang Yan didn't sleep with Gu Hang. She wasn't nervous or afraid. Thinking of Liang Ernie in her memory, she married Gu Hang at this time, so sooner or later she would outlast Lu Yuan, and then become the wife of the military commander, rich, powerful, and a superior person. When people always have a goal, they will be obsessed. Liang Yan has given up too many things for this so-called military commander's wife, and even her parents don't want her, so she doesn't allow herself to fail. She continued to stay at Gu's house, even if she had a bad relationship with Lu Yuan and didn't pay Lu Yuan anymore, but Liang Yan still occasionally thought of Xie Tingzhou, thinking that her suffering was only temporary, and it was better than living a mediocre life with Xie Tingzhou. It seems that only by comforting herself with such reasons can she make herself feel better. In Shangjing City, the Xie family has undergone earth-shaking changes. Today is the full moon banquet of the twins of Xie Tingzhou and Liang Bailing. The whole banquet is full of guests, all of whom are top teachers and students from major universities in Shangjing City, all of whom are teachers and classmates of the Xie family, and there are also many leaders. A series of good words were given to the children of Xie Tingzhou and Liang Bailing. The names of the twins are very down-to-earth. The elder sister is called Xie Zhenbao, the little baby of the Xie family, and the younger brother is called Xie Minjiao. I hope that the child can grow up like Jade and become a useful person. This name was given by the grandfather Xie Jianxi. Mr. Xie kept disliking it for being a bit rustic, but the simpler the name, the easier it is to raise the child, which is praised by many people. Tingzhou now has a son and a daughter. He doesn't have to work so hard every day in the institute. He should come back to see his children more often. The speaker was the leader of the National Aerospace Research and Development Department. Xie Tingzhou chose to graduate directly after studying at Shangjing University for 2 years, and was taken to the National Aerospace Department to develop new fighter jets without even continuing his studies. His new fighter jet drawings developed the country's latest series of Dongfeng Fighter No. 1 within 2 years. He can be said to be a real top scientific researcher. Such research and development speed and ability are highly respected by the country, so Xie Tingzhou and his family are protected by professional soldiers. Now that he has children, there are naturally many leaders coming. Thank you, leader. I still like to go to the institute. When my children grow up, they will definitely like to study these things, Xie Tingzhou replied with a smile. Since coming to Shangjing City 4 years ago, Xie Tingzhou was told by his grandfather and father not to use any strange drugs. All the adventures he had in the past were restrained, and Xie Tingzhou was obedient. He signed in every day and put it in other places, or made himself some delicious food, or gave himself a strange surprise. For example, when signing in one day, Xie Tingzhou hoped to see a meteor shower at night. The system was helpless, but it was completed. In scientific research, Xie Tingzhou occasionally used the system, so the speed of research and development was so fast. In recent years, Mr. Xie and his family have graduated from Shangjing Normal University. After graduation, Mr. Xie raised birds and took care of the children at home all day long. He lived a good life. Xie Jianxi was busy starting a business. He started planting various fresh fruits in his sophomore year and developed a lot of genetically modified fruits. Now, they have been exported abroad in recent years. The two brothers and their wives of the Xie family are not bad either. They are also doing business. However, now that the country is reviving, and with Xie Tingzhou's relationship, they are all doing spare parts business. They not only import and export, but also provide them to the military. It can be said that they have made a lot of money. The extra money is used to invest in real estate and keep moving forward. Xie Chenyu is the only doctor in the family. If anyone in the family has any illness, they will go to her first. She has a job in the first hospital of Shangjing City, and her husband studies biomedicine and enters the Institute of Drugs to conduct some drug research and development experiments. It can be said that everyone has a different life. Even Xie whose father-in-law and mother-in-law, Liang Yuxian and Zhang Sulan, have become particularly confident because of learning foreign languages. They directly entered the Ministry of Foreign Affairs with excellent grades and became translators. Of course, Liang Bailing is the same. Everyone's efforts have finally paid off, and the support between each other has not only made everyone's relationship not unfamiliar, but also more intimate. The Xie family would return to Shijia village once a year and bring new ways of making money to the villagers, so that the Xie family could get rich together. They even built a primary school and repaired roads in Shijia village. In a few years, everything was very different. The Liang family did not live a good life. After Liang Yan broke off the engagement, Liang Yan's other two brothers finally got married. In addition, Mr. Liang was paralyzed, so the family soon split up. Beijing was still counting on her daughter to come back and raise her eyebrows, but she didn't expect that she would ask for help to find someone at Beijing Normal University, but she didn't expect to learn that Liang Yan didn't go to college at all. She cried every day and finally cried her eyes blind. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin. Chapter 73. The Liang brothers couldn't bear to see their mother like this. After all, if you go missing, you have to find the body. It's impossible that there is nothing, right? So in this situation, the three Liang brothers called the police, hoping that the police could find their sister Liang Yan, who had been missing for 5 years and had no news. You know, Liang Yan was a valuable college student from the village, and she is still very valuable now, so the police immediately launched an investigation. They even contacted the university in Shangjing City and learned that Liang Yan was not admitted and left the school. Then, through Liang Yan's accommodation and other information, they finally found Liang Yan at the Chunfeng plastic factory after half a year of investigation. When the police notified the Liang family, they had a complicated look. Your daughter is here. The police took the Liang family to find Liang Yan. On the way, they said that Liang Yan came here 7 years ago. According to the time calculation, she went to Beijing to report but failed, so she came to Lu Yuan's house and lived there ever since. Later, Gu Hang came back to visit her relatives. The two got the marriage certificate but did not hold a wedding. As for how the marriage certificate was obtained, it is enough to have an identity certificate these days, not a household register. After all, many people do not even have a marriage certificate after being married for many years. Everyone is in a de facto marriage these days, and it is rare to get a marriage certificate in order to get married. So Liang Yingke and his wife Beijing took their 3 sons to Lu Yuan's house, and then they saw their daughter Liang Yan, who had been missing for nearly 7 years. Liang Yan looked like she had lost the tenderness of a girl. Life made her embarrassed, and the tit-for-tat with Lu Yuan made her unrecognizable. The moment she saw her parents and brothers, Liang Yan was also stunned. She did not expect that her parents and brothers would come back. Dad, Mom. She couldn't believe it, and Liang Yingke slapped her after he found out what his daughter had done. I don't have a daughter like you who has fallen into depravity. I asked you to go to school, and you saw what you did. Your mother cried until her eyes went blind in order to find you. How could I have given birth to a daughter like you? And your grandfather, he was so angry with you that he was paralyzed in bed. How dare you ask this here? Liang Yan's cheeks were red after being beaten by her father. She realized that her mother's eyes were in trouble. She went over to see that her mother had cried until her eyes were blind. She burst into tears. It would be a lie to say that she didn't regret it now. You have to know that in the previous life, although I married Xie Tingzhou was not very promising, but the Xie family was very capable. They would bring the Liang family with them when they had anything to do. Whether it was doing business or doing other things, they would give the Liang family a share. In my memory, except that Liang Ernie's parents had died a long time ago, her parents had always lived a good life, her grandfather was not paralyzed, and her three brothers followed the Xie family to do a good business, and they lived a comfortable life, and even bought a house in the city. Now when Liang Yan saw the clothes of her family, she knew that her family was not living well, because her father and brothers' clothes were washed white. If they lived a good life, how could this happen? Go home with me, go home. Bai Jing cried and wanted her daughter to go home, but Liang Yan was already crazy and insisted on being the wife of the commander, so when she saw her mother was blind, she refused. Mom, I can't go back, I'm married, I can't go back. She said this, and she felt bad, tears streaming down her face, but the three brothers of the Liang family who once doted on her were so angry that they wanted to beat her up. The Liang family's loneliness seemed to have started when Liang Yan refused to marry Xie Tingzhou. The family's life became worse and worse. Now that Shijia village is prosperous, and even roads have been paved and schools have been built, people from several surrounding villages have to go to school in Shijia village. Some people from the Liang family also go there to study, because the school there is free, and the Xie family pays for the children to go to school. As long as they are willing to go to school, they don't have to pay for the books. Xie Tingzhou and his family have also covered the cost of books. People from several surrounding villages sent their children there. There are now several thousand people in this school. In order to save money, the Liang family naturally sent their children there. Even if they lick their faces, they have to save money. Even if they can't raise their heads in front of the Xie family, they still have to live. In the end, Liang Yingke slapped Liang Yan a few more times, saying that he would never have such a daughter in his life, and finally left with his crying wife. The three brothers of the Liang family ignored Liang Yan. Liang Yan's face was swollen, but she still cried and chased after him. She stuffed all the money she had saved in the past few years into her mother's hands, saying that she would live a good life in the future and bring her mother over to enjoy the good life. Naturally, no one believed this, so after the Liang family left, Liang Yan still stayed in Lu Yuan's house, waiting for Gu Hang to become successful. She believed that when Gu Hang became a big leader of the navy, she, as his wife, would enjoy the good life. It would not be too late to help her parents by then. She comforted herself in this way, just waiting for an illusory future. However, Xie Tingzhou repeatedly completed good projects in the Aviation Design Institute in Shangjing City. In 2 years, he developed a stealth fighter project and a detector. Later, he turned to deep-sea research and development, and did a new deep-sea submarine project, and also made a sonar missile. It can be said that he became the best in the entire R/U0026D department by his own strength. The R/U0026D projects in Xie Tingzhou's hands were almost never stuck, and results would come out soon. Not only that, Xie Tingzhou's family's business has been getting better and better in recent years, from the initial import and export of fruits and parts to the import and export of various high-tech products and real estate investment. Even Xie Chang, the brother-in-law of the Xie family, has developed a drug that is very effective against heart disease. It can be said that there are many patents in 1 year. The drug is even sold abroad, and the money naturally rolls in, and there are countless others. Fame, fortune, and status. After giving birth, Liang Bailing also had her own career. As a translator for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, she and her parents did not work in the same place. In addition to English, the three of them were proficient in several languages. Forgetting to have such awesome abilities, the three of them have learned all the languages of countries that have established diplomatic relations with foreign countries in recent years, so such translators are naturally very popular. But recently Liang Bailing encountered a shocking incident and shared it with her husband. Tingzhou, do you know that my mother is not the child of my grandparents? Liang Bailing was a little hesitant. Now everyone has their own careers and live in their own places. They only meet once a month. Liang Bailing only found out about this after meeting her parents. I know that my mother-in-law became mute because of a high fever. She must have been abandoned. Xie Zhou nodded, knowing that in that era there were still many people who threw away their children, especially after they gave birth to girls. As long as they were sick and could no longer support them, there were many people who threw them away. It was cruel and true. My mother was not abandoned, it was because my grandfather at that time was my real grandfather and grandmother. They were also decentralized at that time, so they were separated. At that time, my grandmother was also sick, my mother was also sick, and my grandmother died after having a fever. My mother is missing. Recently, my mother met a general who came back from the sea. The general said that my mother looks exactly like my grandmother. Yes, Zhang Sulan had such an adventure. Xie Zhou was also stunned. He didn't expect such a thing to happen. Isn't this great? What is our mother going to do? Are you going to admit your marriage? Xie Zhou knew that his father-in-law and his mother-in-law lacked love. Even though they didn't see each other for a month, their calls to Xie Zhou never stopped every week. They really regarded Xie Zhou as their biological son. Not only that, but he is also very kind to everyone in the Xie family, the kind of kindness that makes up for the lack of love. It can be said that all the money earned by the father-in-law and mother-in-law over the years has been spent on the Xie family. It's probably time to recognize the bride, so let me tell you. When the time comes, call grandpa and let's go to see my grandpa together. Liang Bailing also hoped that her mother would be loved and loved, so when she recognized her relatives later, the entire Xie family went there, saying they were accompanying her, but in fact they were supporting Zhang Sulan. Zhang Sulan's father was also happy that there were so many people caring about his daughter. After which the two families became even more intimate. Xie Zhou thought that the other party was in charge of the navy, and some information flashed through his mind, but he didn't think about it anymore. He was still very busy at work. A few years later, the Xie family's life became even more prosperous, and Liang Yan finally overcame Lu Yuan. After Gu Hang returned home for the funeral, she took Gu Hang's son to the island to follow the army. She still didn't have anything happen to Gu Hang, let alone giving birth to a child. After all these years, she was exhausted. She just wanted to quickly promote Gu Hang and make a fortune, so that she could be admired by everyone. As a result, a few years after arriving on the island, Liang Yan discovered that Gu Hang was not a powerful soldier at all. According to what she knew about the military commander, Gu Hang might not be able to rise to the top in his life. This made Liang Yan very puzzled, not to mention that life on the island was not that good. Seeing that the world was developing faster and faster, Gu Hang's development was slowly standing still, and Liang Yan couldn't figure it out. Until one day, when Liang Yan was watching TV, she saw the news broadcast on it. My country's first manned space rocket was officially launched successfully, and the researcher inside was the man he abandoned, Xie Zhou. Later, in the military and diplomatic news, Liang Yan even saw the energetic Liang Bailing. Although the other party changed his name, Liang Yan still recognized the fact that she was Liang Ernie. Gu Hang came back to rest and said after seeing the news, Liang Bailing's mother is the daughter of my senior leader who has been lost for many years. I heard that she was found a few years ago. She loves her very much and takes good care of her. After hearing this, Liang Yan felt like her whole body was struck by lightning, and everything suddenly became clear to her. Why didn't Gu Hang become the Navy commander when he married Gu Hang? That's because only if Liang Ernie marries him, Liang Ernie's grandfather will recruit Gu Hang, and Gu Hang can become the leader, not because Gu Hang is the army commander and Liang Ernie is the army commander's wife. It's a pity that Liang Yan knew it too late. She worked hard for this illusory dream all her life, and then it shattered. Liang Yan was stunned when she saw her ex-husband, whom she had given up, become famous, and when Liang Ernie, whom she had been jealous of all her life, surpassed her life again. One night later, Gu Hang found that his wife suddenly went crazy. He had no choice but to find a relationship and send Liang Yan back to his home. Liang Yan's mother, Bai Jing, was blind and had to take care of her daughter. Listening to Liang Yan saying that Xie Tingzhou loved her the most, she just felt regretful. Now they are no longer in the same world as the Xie family, and the Xie family can only be seen on TV news. In his lifetime, Xie Tingzhou, with his parents by his side, his wife and young son by his side, occasionally used his golden finger to take the country's military capabilities to another level, becoming a well-deserved existence remembered by history. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 74. The year 2030 of the new calendar is a terrifying year for all humans living on Earth. It is also a year that forces all humans to gather together to spy on alien visitors from the vast universe. In the year 2029 of the new calendar, a new planet suddenly appeared in the normally functioning solar system. This planet is a completely black sphere with no color, which is completely different from the Moon. When it first appeared, all humans were shocked and excited, and believed that the appearance of this planet was worthy of scientific exploration. At this time, people have developed rockets that can land on the Moon and Mars, as well as space probes, but facing this suddenly appearing black planet, many scientists still maintain a very pessimistic idea, because this planet is too close. Too close to the Earth. Although it can be confirmed that it is also rotating, the sudden appearance of this planet and the distance from the Earth are shortening almost every second, which makes people feel abnormally terrified. In the National Astronomical Extraterrestrial Research Base, all kinds of experts gathered here, and the world's top technology was also displayed on it. The rocket sent out exploded. This was information that had not been announced to the citizens yet, which was enough to make all scientific researchers feel an unspeakable fear. Explorer number 3 had already approached the black star after leaving the Earth's atmosphere, but it suddenly exploded. No information about the black star was sent back at all. There was only a piece of black in the returned information, as if to stop us from exploring. Astronomer Chen Wenhai said this with an ugly face. They had sent out rockets to explore the black star twice before, but still no results. Until this time, the manned rocket was launched, which also exploded in the universe, and it was impossible to explore the information in the black star. During this year, with the appearance and approach of the black star, it was also on the news at first and was known to the public on Earth, but later after the government's appeasement, the public just thought that an ordinary planet had appeared and was no longer afraid. Regarding this black planet, in fact, the Cosmic Exploration Department and Astronomical Department of each country are studying it carefully, because the appearance of this planet is too strange and may even pose a threat to the entire Earth. In the early years, scientists always liked to put all kinds of strange space stations in space, as if to show their existence to the dark universe, and even speculated whether there are really aliens in this world. However, some scientists believe that the Earth is too weak to be exposed in the dark universe, just like the black ball that appeared this time. No one knows whether this black ball is a dead star or a real alien. That's why I think the black star is more dangerous. Don't you think it looks like there are creatures other than us humans? Otherwise, why did our rocket explode? Cosmology scholar Che Shifeng's expression was also cold at this time. In this year, the more scientists studied the black star, the more they felt fear in their hearts. As the black star approaches, according to scientists' speculation, within 50 years, the black star can collide with the Earth. There is also the distance between the two planets. They can reach the Moon by launching a rocket, but the black star is so close, but after the rocket went out, it exploded directly into the field of the black star. How can this not make people think too much? Now the atmosphere outside the Earth is fully alert, and various space stations are patrolling outside. In fact, they are still afraid of creatures from mysterious aliens. What if there are really aliens on this black planet? Many scientists actually have this idea in their hearts. Since the first and second rockets exploded, the explosion of the third rocket is enough to make everyone more afraid of this black planet. In addition, in a year, they can't explore any situation on this black planet at all. This really makes all scientific researchers feel uncomfortable. In a year, many scientists who originally studied cosmology have white hair. Various countries have also carried out scientific and technological cooperation for the black star that suddenly appeared a year ago. They all tried their best to carry out Skynet nuclear energy protection in the outer layer of the Earth. Outside the atmosphere, they hope that if there are really alien visitors, their Earth can resist the risk in the first time. Just when these scientists were studying the explosion of the third exploration rocket in the country, they saw the latest photos sent back by the space station. I saw that the space station floating in space actually photographed something that appeared in the black star. The black warships that were almost contained in the universe flew out of the black star one by one. After entering the space, they were quickly photographed and sent back by the space station. The entire National Astronomical Extraterrestrial Research Base suddenly sounded a red siren, and the whistling siren instantly made everyone's heart tense. Then everyone in the research base saw the photos taken from the space station. One by one, black space battleships that seemed to exist only in novels appeared in the universe, and were even moving towards the Earth at the fastest speed. Oh my God! There are not only aliens on the black star, but their technology is much more advanced than ours. A scientist shouted in horror, and everyone was terrified at this time, but they still tried to calm themselves down, because things like space battleships, the Earth is now only described in some science fiction novels, and it is impossible to build them, and this black star has already mastered such technology. So many, so many. Another researcher cried in despair. Along with her voice, the satellite began to send back messages quickly. The satellite floating outside the Earth had scanned these black space battleships, or spaceships. This is a dream scene that would make science fiction writers cry, but it almost made everyone in the base collapse on the spot. Soon, the number of these space battleships was being transmitted on the electronic screen. The densely packed black battleships were almost all red signals. Such red signals represent danger, and soon the entire satellite area was covered. Not only in China, but in various countries on Earth, scientists with the most advanced instruments detected these alien visitors at the first time, and analyzed the speed at which these alien visitors approached the Earth in the fastest time. It is clear that the distance between the black star and the Earth is at least 50 years before it can collide with the Earth, but these black warships are rushing from the black star at an incalculable speed per second. According to this speed, within 3 days, these space warships will appear outside the Earth's atmosphere, or even directly enter the atmosphere. At that time, the entire Earth will be as helpless as a child facing an adult holding a gun. What should I do? What should I do? The Earth is going to be destroyed, we will all die. Under such a huge truth, many scientific researchers are about to be driven crazy, but such news still needs to be quickly passed to the upper leaders. In the face of such a global disaster, they humans seem so small, especially when the photos sent back by artificial satellites become clearer and clearer, people instantly feel more terrified. In front of such countless behemoths, the Earth's technology is of no use at all. This aquamarine planet is like a lamb to be slaughtered, and it can't compete with such alien visitors at all. Leaders of various countries quickly opened a global meeting. At the moment of human survival, they knew that as long as aliens came, humans would most likely be destroyed or become slaves of these aliens. The goal of everyone's discussion was naturally how to deal with these space warships that appeared, but according to scientists' analysis, no matter what they do now, it is useless. On the first day, the whole world jointly launched positioning missiles into the atmosphere. This positioning was naturally aimed at those dark warships, but it was useless. Fire appeared in the black warships and the missiles disappeared. On the second day, the whole world still wanted to use the most advanced weapons to deal with these warships, but what they got was that the Earth was surrounded by these black warships. According to the information returned by the artificial satellites released by each country, the number of these black warships was almost millions, and they were surrounding the Earth in a siege. Finally, when these black warships will appear in the Earth's atmosphere in another 24 hours, at the closest distance, the leaders of the world had to choose to compromise and tell everyone about the world disaster that will happen in 24 hours. This news was rejected and finally decided to be released in the countdown of 3 hours to prevent the final panic of mankind from bringing greater disasters. At 7 o'clock in the evening of August 9, 2030, the sky was slightly dark. It was summer, and the internet channels, TV channels, and world radio channels around the world fully released the information that alien warships on the Black Star surrounded the Earth. Millions of alien warships will enter the atmosphere within 3 hours and surround the entire Earth. Humanity has reached the moment of survival. Humans all over the world will face alien visitors together. We are ready for a full-scale battle. With such a global explosive news, people are panicked and afraid, but what can they do with only 3 hours? All they can do now is to hug their loved ones and pray that all this is just a dream. Although every country is ready to fight these foreigners, they have almost used up all their high-tech weapons before, and all of them have been launched into space, but they have no effect at all. As time counted down, people broke down and cried, but they also knew that if they really faced millions of alien warships, the Earthlings had no ability to resist. The country had made all efforts, and in the end, all mankind could only face such a real ending together. No matter what the Earth would face, at this moment, people all over the world coexisted. If it was a natural disaster or a man-made disaster, perhaps humans would still have a chance to avoid it, but in the face of such high-tech crushing, after using all weapons, leaders of various countries also knew that they had lost the ability to resist and could only watch the alien visitors come. Time is entering the countdown, from the last 3 hours to the last half hour. At this moment, many humans walked out of their homes. They raised their heads and looked up at the sky. The aliens' black space warships had broken through the atmosphere and truly surrounded the entire Earth. The dark space warships were very oppressive. In the night, enough lights shone from the sky, so that when people looked up, they could see the alien warships seen in the news in the sky. They surrounded the Earth and showed their weapons and fangs to humans. All iridium humans on Earth, lay down your weapons at this moment and become slaves of our robots. We will not attack the Earth. People all over the world heard such words from the space battleship at this moment. Their homes were about to be invaded, and the Earth would be controlled by aliens. Humans collapsed and cried. How they hoped that there would be a superhero at this time to drive away these alien visitors, just like in the movies. The bad aliens were finally subdued by the heroes. At this moment, all humans on Earth were silent, and leaders of various countries were also silent. Should they rise up to resist and then be beaten into sieves by these battleships, or should they lower their proud heads and become slaves of aliens, so that at least the fire of humanity can be preserved? People are struggling. There are so many people around the world, and the smallest humans standing on the streets are cursing those aliens. Why? Why do these aliens come from a high position and turn people all over the world into their slaves at once? Why? Why are they so weak and powerless to resist under such circumstances? Just when people were threatened by aliens and wanted to compromise or die with them, they heard a chant from an unknown animal in the sky again, with the long and heavy sound of time, tearing the whole night apart. Then all the humans who were looking up suddenly saw a more shocking scene than seeing an alien spaceship in their lives. The sky seemed to be torn apart from another dimension, and a golden dragon tore through the sky, broke through those black alien warships, and soared into the sky with a dragon roar, and actually surrounded the entire Earth. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin. Chapter 75. People all over the world can see this golden dragon at this moment. Of course, because this dragon is too huge, people can only see its scales shining with golden light in the dark night, and the dragon roar emitted by this huge golden dragon, as if sighing in your ear, as if you have experienced the long years, making you tremble uncontrollably, and then you can't help but look up at the sky, dazzled by the golden light and tears in your eyes. Is this a dragon? Is this a dragon? In the Research Institute, the dragon seen by scientists is more real. They saw the appearance of this dragon from the photos taken by artificial satellites to the Earth. This is a giant dragon covered with golden scales, with a faint red in the golden color, which looks like the dragon in the memory of the Chinese. There is no need to guess its length. It surrounds the Earth several times and directly surrounds the Earth. The claws on the golden dragon can be seen. The sharp claws are so big that they seem to be able to destroy a city in an instant. There are actually dragons in this world. Is this the blessing of our ancestors? A scientist who originally believed in science also sighed and absolutely refused to believe that such an oriental dragon came from those aliens, just like the Chinese people's deep respect for dragons. The first of the 12 zodiac signs is the illusory dragon, and since ancient times, anyone who has become an emperor will call himself the real dragon emperor. This is enough to prove the inevitable importance of the existence of dragons in the 5,000 years of Chinese history. Even though people have never seen a real dragon, they all call themselves descendants of the dragon. Unlike the black evil dragons abroad, in ancient Chinese records, dragons are flying in the clouds and mist, and can fly in the sky without wings. The huge body covers the sun, and the five-clawed dragon is even more powerful, pushing mountains and moving seas. At this moment, the earth is like a small toy, surrounded by this golden dragon, like playing, and like a protective posture. When the satellite sent the image of the dragon, everyone realized that its tail was surrounding the earth, and its entire body was covering the earth, but the most important dragon head was in the sky above Luoyang in the east of China. The huge golden dragon head seen through the satellite, which can only exist in legends, has a pair of golden horns that look sharp, and the golden pupils in the dragon's eyes, which makes people feel an unknown sense of oppression. However, at the moment of the satellite shooting, the golden pupils with flowing light looked over, which was a ruthless gaze belonging to the gods. When people see this photo, they will be shocked by it, because it takes courage to look at the ancient dragon. At this moment, people all over the world never expected that it would be fine if they encountered alien warships invading, but in the blink of an eye, the interstellar era has not yet arrived, and this legendary era is coming. The huge golden dragon is like a mythical existence, which makes people even more scared and can't stop crying, because if they encounter these two things, how can they survive? Compared with people in other countries, Chinese people are completely different. Their pursuit and worship of dragons is in their bones and blood. At this moment, all Chinese people in the world who can see this golden dragon kneel on the ground. Lord Dragon God, please save us. Save humanity. Lord Dragon God, you must come to save us, right? Lord Dragon God, I pray that you can save your descendants of dragons and keep us from being in danger. Everyone prayed sincerely at this time. They knelt devoutly in every place on the earth and sent out a cry for help to the golden dragon in the sky. Along with their prayers, in a place that no one could see, the golden light that drifted from everyone began to quickly rush towards the dragon in the sky. In just a moment, the scales of the dragon became more radiant, and the dazzling golden color made people close their eyes and pray. In the sky, Xie Tingzhou had long been accustomed to his wanton power as a giant dragon. This power that was enough to destroy the fields continued to flourish in his body, allowing Xie Tingzhou to protect the entire earth while his golden eyes turned into vertical pupils, looking coldly and ruthlessly at the black warships surrounding the earth. This thing is obviously not something that human technology can achieve, otherwise would you surround your home? The appearance of Xieting's golden dragon has made these alien visitors somewhat confused about the situation. At first, they did not dare to act rashly, and then they had already investigated the identity of this golden behemoth in the warship. They had lurked into the human world earlier, and only chose to attack in large numbers after confirming that humans were harmless. At this moment, they naturally learned from humans that this huge golden creature wrapped around the blue planet was fabricated by the Earthlings and came from the legendary ancient dragon. It is said that it has the ability to destroy the world. Even though it is a record, it makes the robots choose to be vigilant. All the black warships are ready to attack Xietingzhou at this moment. As long as the order is issued, the most powerful thermal weapons from the mechanical star will kiss the golden dragon and blow it to pieces. The golden dragon raised its head, and its eyes were fascinating. At this moment, not only the mechanical stars who came to besiege the earth, but all humans on the earth heard the dragon roar of the golden dragon, which was the sound of Chinese characters. "Who is invading my hometown?" It was a sacred, low voice that made you want to kneel down. When people all over the world heard such a voice, the Chinese people were so happy that they shed tears. Those foreigners who did not understand Chinese could not help but kneel on the ground, shocked by such a voice. This voice seemed to have traveled through the long years, and came to your side heavily and gently. It was noble and ruthless, but it made you cry when you heard it. The people of the mechanical star also heard the voice of the dragon and analyzed that the dragon was speaking Chinese. This dragon from the legend was also believed by the Chinese. But they had to take down this aquamarine planet, so after hearing Xietingzhu's words, the commander-in-chief of the mechanical star directly issued an order. Launch an attack. At this moment, the black warships surrounding the Earth actually emitted flames, which were invisible to the naked eye of humans. Only people in the research institute could see what these flames were. They were nothing more than missiles that could destroy a city, and these flames rushed towards the golden dragon from all directions. Xietingzhou really didn't expect that in tens of thousands of years, he had never encountered such a small provocation. Almost instantly, the golden dragon that wrapped the entire earth began to move quickly. Because the speed was too fast, people all over the world felt the wind coming instantly, but it seemed to be intentionally protecting them and did not cause much damage. And Xietingzhou had already raised his head directly, and half of his body continued to expand around the earth, wrapping the entire earth, and then the upper body was already attacking the warships. It opened its mouth, and the black hole that was enough to swallow dozens of space warships opened, followed by the huge dragon roar that was comparable to sound waves. Humans were well protected by this dragon. They would not see that all kinds of fire bombs coming from all directions were accompanied by dragon roars and all stopped in the sky, or in other words, this should be called dragon roar. The huge dragon roar that was enough to make people tremble was a kind of roar similar to a tiger but not like a tiger, which could almost fill your ears. Then, I saw that the fire bombs that were released were actually shot back in the opposite direction under the sound waves of the dragon's roar. How could the mechanical aliens have seen such a scene? They hurriedly began to manipulate the black warships to dodge. They had used the most powerful quantum attack bombs before. If such things returned to their warships, they would be enough to break the warships. The warships were all dodging in a panic, but some were still blown up, blooming in the sky like fireworks. The black warships banged and squeezed into a super large firework. If you look at it in the photos of artificial satellites, it should be a very beautiful scene. In the end, the quantum attack bomb disappeared in the universe. The mechanical alien advance team that wanted to fight around the Earth knew the power of this behemoth. When dodging, thousands of warships exploded in the universe. They dispatched 200,000 warships this time, which was enough to wrap up this small Mercury and then take it down. But they never thought that they would encounter a tough guy. It's not over yet. While they were dodging the quantum attack bombs they had sent out, Xietingzhou this time directly sprayed blue-purple flames at these black warships, and then these space warships did not react. The golden dragon had already rushed towards many warships with such blue-purple flames. The golden dragon began to rise and grow, still in the posture of protecting the earth with its flesh, but it became bigger and bigger, and then the speed became faster and faster. Blue-purple flames ignited on Xieting's golden scales, and then accompanied by his dragon roar, the blue-purple flames instantly ignited the warships from the mechanical aliens, and then a series of explosions occurred. All this happened almost instantly. After the dragon circled around, the blue-purple flames had burned all the warships surrounding the Earth into fireworks, allowing people to know in the gap that those alien warships were burned. All mankind could see that the sky turned into a burning blue-purple color, which was as beautiful as a burning cloud. Many people even took out their mobile phones to take pictures to record this moment. Perhaps this will be the end of their lives, but it may also be the rise of mankind. Xietingzhou, the golden dragon, was emitting blue-purple dragon flames all over his body, and he roared towards the mechanical planet not far from the Earth. Who dares to invade the land of the true dragon? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletinjian. Chapter 76. This golden dragon's protective look is very similar to that of the Chinese, which made many Chinese people who were kneeling on the ground praying burst into tears. They believed that when the world was destroyed in the face of aliens, it must be the dragon god who appeared and protected all of them. And Xietingzhou in the sky also began to shrink a little bit, but the blue-purple dragon flame on his body was still burning fiercely. The temperature of this blue-purple dragon flame was extremely high, and it didn't need to be described as tens of thousands of degrees Celsius. If its flame fell on the earth, it would probably take hundreds of years to extinguish. Xietingzhou, who once dominated the world of cultivation, could kill a cultivator with just the dragon breath he exhaled, let alone the dragon flame. Even these alien races are only the most common, perhaps more powerful than humans, but for a dragon that has cultivated for more than 10,000 years, these have no killing power at all. As the dragon shrank, the artificial satellites that were still working soon detected all this. The leaders of each country immediately gave orders. From this moment, new videos appeared on the mobile phones of people all over the world. This video is very clear. It is a picture of the battle between the Golden Dragon and the alien warships from the artificial satellite. From the appearance of the oppressive black warships, to the global siege, to the appearance of the Golden Dragon, and the instantaneous burning dragon flames that destroyed all the black warships. All this happened very quickly. The whole video is less than 5 minutes long. Those arrogant so-called mechanical aliens who originally asked humans to become their slaves have now been beaten and shattered under the control of the sky. The explosion was as brilliant as fireworks and finally disappeared in the silent black night sky, leaving only a golden dragon still tightly surrounding the earth, guarding their aquamarine planet as a guardian. Oh my god! This is a real dragon, it can beat the aliens to pieces in an instant. Then we won't be invaded by aliens. Lord Dragon God saved us. Saved the earth. Oh my god, is this mysterious oriental dragon raised by oriental people? At this moment, people all over the world saw the scene of Xietingzhou easily killing the mechanical aliens. They were shocked by the power of this golden dragon, but they burst into tears of being saved. The aliens were beaten to pieces, and now their entire Earth is protected by the golden dragon. Does that prove that they are safe? In less than an hour today, everything that people on Earth saw was enough to brag about for a lifetime, because they not only saw the first planetary invasion from an alien planet, but also saw the dragon that only circulated in legends in ancient times. It is the kind of immortal and real dragon. At this moment, Xietingzhou, who is still hovering outside the Earth, has also been transmitted to every Chinese mobile phone. Everyone took out their mobile phones and saw the real appearance of this dragon. Its horns are like those of a deer, but they are sharp golden dragon horns. Its head is like that of a cow, but it does not make people feel gentle, but only terrified. Its eyes are like shrimps, and its golden pupils look coldly and ruthlessly, with the oppression of a beast. Its mouth is like that of a donkey, but it is as terrifying as a black hole when it is opened. Its belly is like a snake, and a long one can protect the entire earth in the middle. Its scales are like fish, and large pieces of golden dragon scales are dazzling in the night, making it impossible to look directly at it. Its feet are like phoenixes, and its huge golden claws look enough to destroy a city. Its beard is like a human, and it wanders in the sky for a long time, full of sporadic, and its last ears are like elephants. Everything satisfies the Chinese people's long-standing imagination of dragons. It is so powerful that it can grow bigger or smaller. Not only can it speak human words, but also can have dragon flames that burn everything. No human being will not be afraid of it, and will not surrender to it. At this moment, after releasing the latest battle videos, various countries also released the latest news, eagerly telling people all over the world. We were saved by Lord Dragon God. Lord Dragon God defeated the aliens from the mechanical planet and protected our Earth. Protected all of us humans. What exciting news! Even at 10 o'clock in the evening, the streets were full of humans. They knelt on the ground and kowtowed, constantly thanking Lord Dragon God for his protection. Layers of golden light spots floated out from these humans, and then gathered again in Xie Ting's huge dragon body. This is the power of people's faith, which is commonly known as incense. As early as in history, the gods had long been extinct. Xie Ting cultivated from a dragon to a real dragon in another world of cultivation for thousands of years. In that world, he was also worshipped and respected. He often made clouds and rain, or occasionally did good deeds, so Xie Ting's incense has always been very good. Later, he tore the sky with these incense, so that he could go home. Now, the earthlings who originally did not believe in any gods, no matter what gods they originally believed in, now truly believed in the dragon god who protected the earth. They knelt down willingly and offered their faith power continuously, making Xie Ting's dragon body more powerful, the golden scales on his body more brilliant, and the blue-purple flames burning more fiercely. Thinking that a dragon like himself could break through the space, Xie Ting felt the spiritual energy surging from the surroundings, and realized that this was the moment of life and death for mankind, either destruction or evolution. Thinking of this, Xie Ting let out another huge dragon roar. This dragon roar was long and full of emotion, and it spread all over the place where humans could hear it. Along with this dragon roar, at this moment, in addition to the two sentences that Lord Dragon God said to the enemy before, this time all humans heard the voice of Lord Dragon God. The world will be destroyed, and there is no creation without destruction. I will give all living beings the body to cultivate, enlighten their minds, evolve their bodies, and protect themselves with their own strength. The voice of the dragon spread to every corner of the world. Foreigners who were not supposed to understand Chinese actually understood it at this moment. People all over the world seemed to be proficient in Chinese automatically at this moment, which made these foreigners also show surprise and know the power of this dragon. Along with Xie Ting's voice, many humans have understood that this is the method of cultivation that the dragon wants to give them, so that they can save themselves. The so-called enlightenment of mind and evolution of body, isn't it cultivation? Foreigners don't know what cultivation is, what is flying with a sword, but which Chinese don't know. Since ancient times, immortals can fly. And cultivation is something that everyone envies. After all, which young person hasn't seen a sword fairy flying with a sword when he was a child? When TV dramas were popular with various immortal idol dramas, many people complained that cultivation was not like this. How could an old immortal who had lived for tens of thousands of years not be busy practicing or benefiting the world, but fall in love? And then talk about the extinction of the world? And now, before the destruction of the world, the appearance of Lord Shenlong has made all humans know that real gods exist. They may not appear by your side at ordinary times, but if humans encounter something that is really about to be destroyed, the gods will never stand idly by. At this moment, many scientific researchers who were originally indoors have also come out and knelt on the ground to kowtow to Lord Dragon God. Even if the atheism that many people believed in before was broken at this moment, they would rather break their lifelong learning than the continuation of life. They are willing to sincerely kneel down to Lord Dragon God, hoping that Lord Dragon God can bless all living beings and all humans living on earth. Xie Tingzhou felt more power of faith flying towards him, and then began to fly around the entire earth. Its entire body was actually terrifyingly large. It could not only completely surround the entire earth, but even surround several earths. The golden dragon moved in the sky. It should have been night, but the sky was as bright as day. Coupled with the blue-purple dragon flame on the golden dragon, the whole sky became a dreamy and blurred beauty. Then the golden dragon took off. When it moved, the blue-purple sky was actually torn apart by lightning. This beautiful scenery, followed by lightning and thunder that should have frightened the whole world. The buzzing sound of thunder resounded overhead. When looking up, the blue-purple sky was torn into pieces by lightning. This was simply a more terrifying picture than the immortals' tribulation. But now all the humans did not hide in the house, but knelt on the ground, looking up at the dragon in the sky, looking at such lightning and thunder, and constantly shouting the name of the Dragon Master. They are not afraid of such thunder, not afraid of the weird sky. Because they know that it is the Dragon God who is protecting them. Anyone can hurt them, but the Dragon God will definitely protect them and will not hurt them at all. Just as everyone was praying to the Dragon God in their hearts, it began to rain all over the world. To be precise, this was not rain. These spiritual energies that descended under the control of Xie Tingzhou, people now have not mastered the ability to practice, so Xie Tingzhou turned all the spiritual energies on the surface of the earth into rain and fell down. At this moment, the rain sprinkled on everyone, and all the humans on the earth instantly felt that extraordinary feeling. When the rain fell on the hair, you only felt that your ears and eyes were clear in an instant, and your mind was instantly much clearer. Even at this moment, some people regenerated their broken limbs after bathing in such rain, which made them cry wildly. Lord Dragon God has appeared, Lord Dragon God has saved all living beings. Not only that, this rain has the ability to cure all diseases, making the stubborn diseases of humans instantly cured. Even patients with Alzheimer's disease suddenly woke up and kept calling out the name of Lord Dragon God. On August 9, 2030, the new calendar, the Dragon King returned and sent down spiritual rain, and all humans completely embarked on the road of cultivation. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 77. At this moment, the entire Earth's atmosphere is full of the spiritual energy nurtured by Xie Tingzhou, or in other words, it is the spiritual energy that leaked from the world of cultivation after Xie Tingzhou tore through the sky. With the sincere prayers of people, the golden faith entered Xie Tingzhou's body and turned into spiritual energy, which was dispersed to every corner of the world through the 9 nether dragon flame again. It can be said that people on the earth used to breathe air, but at this moment, the air began to contain abundant spiritual power, but humans have not yet learned to use this spiritual power to make themselves stronger. With the fall of the spiritual rain, not only did people's diseases disappear, but also their broken limbs regenerated. Any kind of creature in this world was evolving with the spiritual rain. The so-called cultivation and spiritual energy are equally facing all things in the world, not only the humans who are originally smart and favored by heaven and earth, but also animals and trees. At this moment, after absorbing the spiritual rain, they have also undergone earth-shaking changes inside. In the densest jungle that people have never been to, the trees that were about to block the sky grew wildly at this time, and the creatures in the sea also began to evolve at the same time, and the animals in the forest all howled. At this time, even if humans were about to become extinct, they were well protected by their owners. The small pets they carried with them, cats, dogs, and even some strange pets, evolved after absorbing the spiritual rain. As the person who brought down the spiritual rain, Xietingzhou could feel the revival of life after the entire earth was covered by the spiritual rain, and he was extremely satisfied at this time. I have brought down the spiritual rain. From now on, all things in the world can practice and fight for life with the sky. Accompanied by the voice of Xietingzhou, the golden dragon, resounding in every place on the earth, this time not only humans kneeled on the ground, but all the animals that evolved due to the spiritual rain had also opened their spiritual wisdom, and they all learned to kneel down and worship the dragon in the sky like humans, and even the grass and trees growing outside shook their branches and leaves, thanking the gift of fate. All mankind cheered and let the spiritual rain and tears erode their bodies, opening a new era. However, after the spiritual rain, Xietingzhou did not relax his vigilance. His golden eyes looked at the black planet very close to the earth. It soared away in the kneeling of humans, and actually flew towards the dark universe. People had just opened their spiritual powers, so they could naturally see through the dark night and see that the giant dragon that saved all mankind flew towards the mechanical star without hesitation. Xietingzhou never had the habit of leaving his enemies in place to grow up. Humans are all the same. Those who are not of my race must have different hearts. These aliens cannot be left. As a 10,000-year-old dragon, for Xietingzhou, destroying a planet is just a matter of minutes. In an instant, Xietingzhou had already flown to the black mechanical star. When its huge golden body appeared on the mechanical star, the entire mechanical star became a guarding state. The next moment, the huge blue-purple nine-nether dragon flame sprayed towards the mechanical star. This is the dragon flame of the ancient dragon, enough to burn everything. The robots on the mechanical planet did not sit still and wait for death. The most powerful weapons on the entire planet were fired at Xietingzhou, but unfortunately they were completely useless in the nine-nether dragon flame. So the blue-purple flames burned those high-tech weapons cleanly, and then fell on the black mechanical planet like a meteor fire. Xietingzhou then discovered that the reason why this mechanical planet was black was not because there was no life on it, but because the aliens here were all silver in shape. They looked similar to humans, but their shells were silver, and their eyes were a kind of obsidian-like black, which looked very creepy. All the buildings on this planet were built with a kind of black stone, so when you look at it on the surface, it's all black. Xietingzhou's eyes were fixed, and he found that these black stones actually contained spiritual energy. The idea of destroying the mechanical planet was immediately shattered. This planet can be used as a training place for future cultivators, and it can also be used to mine spiritual stones. When Xietingzhou's nine-nether dragon flame landed on the mechanical star, a black river instantly burned at the fastest speed, and then a huge blue-purple wound was left on the planet. Xietingzhou used the true dragon strategy to see that these black rivers were not water, but something like oil. Then this so-called mechanical star should be kept, after all, the resources are still good. At this moment, the invaders and the invaded seemed to have exchanged their identities. This golden dragon stayed on the mechanical star, and the flames it spewed out casually destroyed several cities on the mechanical star, and even burned an entire river. This was enough to scare all the people on the mechanical star, and they fled in all directions, just like the powerless humans before. In front of the dragon, even the mechanical star with high technology had no chance of winning. From now on, this mechanical planet is the land of my true dragon. Everything belongs to me. Xietingzhou waved his golden dragon claws, circling around this black planet. Along with his voice, his words came into being. Golden marks fell from the dragon in the sky one after another, and then appeared on these robots as they ran for their lives. At this moment, Xietingzhou became the god of these mechanical people. He left a spiritual mark, and it only took a moment for these robots to self-destruct. The billions of robots on the mechanical planet only felt their heads getting hot at this moment, and golden flames appeared on their silver foreheads in the center of their eyebrows. This thing could take their lives at any time. When it appeared, all the robots felt it in their minds. Xieting Zhou rarely used such divine punishment to control humans. Even as a dragon god, he would not want to control humans, but in order to avoid war, Xieting Zhou issued the first order. From now on, no more attacks on the earth. This order will be directly implanted into the minds of these robots through divine punishment. As long as they want to invade the earth again, their heads will be in severe pain, and even explode and die. After doing all this and making sure that this black planet is temporarily no threat to the earth, Xieting Zhou turned around and left, waving his powerful dragon body in the universe and rushing towards the earth. The humans on earth saw the dragon go to the black planet. They thought the dragon would destroy the invader directly, but they didn't expect the dragon to let the invader's planet go. However, when they saw the dragon fly back, they still knelt on the ground and prayed sincerely, hoping that the dragon god could continue to protect the earth. Once again feeling the sincere prayers of humans, Xieting Zhou thought that after he cultivated into a dragon god, he had never received such a great merit at one time. He once again surrounded the earth with his huge body. This time, after everyone saw the golden dragon scales, they found that the giant dragon was slowly becoming transparent and then disappearing. Xieting Zhou did not use the real body of the dragon god to descend on the earth, otherwise he could easily destroy several cities. He turned his dragon body into a transparent one to protect the earth and prevent any invasion. Then he absorbed and spread the spiritual energy in the sky. Now the spiritual energy of the earth is enough for humans to cultivate for thousands of years. So Xieting Zhou turned into a golden light and fell on the earth. In the night, the golden light fell straight towards the land of Luoyang, the capital of gods, making people feel that the dragon might land in Luoyang. Anyone who wants to become a god needs to cut off the soul and the old body. Xieting Zhou has not used the human form for many years. When he fell, he was wearing a golden brocade robe, with fluttering sleeves, a white jade belt around his waist, black hair tied on top of his head, and a huge pearl as an embellishment of the gold and jade inlaid hair crown. His face was cold and ruthless, with a red dot between his eyebrows, his eyes slightly raised, and his golden pupils shining. Just one look at it can determine that this person is definitely not a good person. The people in Luoyang were also kneeling on the ground. At this time, they looked up and watched the golden light fall. They almost couldn't control themselves and got up from the ground, and then rushed towards the land of golden light frantically. Xieting Zhou relied on his memory and finally successfully landed in Linjiang County on the Luoyang side. He floated in the sky above 100 meters, looked down, and found the Champs-Élysées community in his memory. This was his former home, and it was also the past that he was about to forget after entering the Xiaojian continent. The dragon turned into a human and landed in Luoyang. Almost all the people in Luoyang were shocked. They all wanted to see the dragon and kneel down to worship the dragon as soon as possible. Xieting Zhou was floating in the sky. It was obviously night, but there was light everywhere. His golden brocade robe moved without wind, and his long black hair fluttered in the sky. As he landed, the golden light covered the entire Champs-Élysées community. The dragon has descended. Lord Dragon has descended. People were all outside at this time. After the spiritual rain, they dried up quickly. At this time, they were kneeling on the ground and couldn't help looking up, calling Lord Dragon, watching the golden light getting closer and closer to them. From hundreds of meters to the last dozen meters, people could see it clearly. Lord Shenlong transformed into an ancient man wearing a golden robe, just like the dragon in people's memory. People kowtowed devoutly and crazily, and then there were voices calling for Lord Shenlong all around. In the crowd, the woman who was protecting her son and family looked up and saw Xieting Zhou's face. She was stunned and couldn't say a word. The 10-year-old son also looked up at this time, and then saw that Lord Shenlong looked exactly like the father his mother mentioned in the photo, and then he shouted happily. "Dad! Is Dad Lord Shenlong? Good man, he has a golden finger." Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 78. After the child asked that question, the woman next to her pushed her son's head down and held him in her arms. Beside her was a man who was also kneeling on the ground with his head lowered. He was originally taking care of the two old men around him. He raised his head when he heard the sound, and then froze when he saw Xietingzhou floating in the sky. Beside him were two old people. In the arms of the old lady, there was a little boy, about 5 years old, being carefully held. However, the old man beside the old lady had already lifted up his head without knowing it. Turning his head, he was a little confused when he saw the legendary Lord Shenlong. "Old woman, I'm afraid I'm going to die. I want to see my son." This old man is none other than Xie Jinsong, Xie's father, who is Xie Tingzhu's biological father. The old lady next to him is named Gu Venman, who is Xie Tingzhu's biological mother. Listening to the old man talking, Gu Venman didn't even raise his head as he coaxed son in his arms. "What a bullshit, you are just telling lies. My son has been dead for so many years. We have to raise the child for him. Don't talk about whether he will die or not all day long. This alien has been beaten away by the dragon god. If the earth is fine, we will be fine." Gu Venman is a big-hearted old lady. Originally, the earth was about to be invaded by aliens. She thought she would die and no one else would survive. But now that the dragon god appears, they can all survive. Gu Venman man still wants to take care of his grandson. "It's true, wife, I really saw my son." Xie Jinsong was still kneeling there blankly and raising his head. All the humans around him were actually the same. They were all kneeling on the ground and looking up at the man floating in the sky. Xie Tingzhou also finally found the parents in his memory among the crowd. He floated over, everything on his body was still automatic, and soon he landed in the center of the crowd. Facing Xie Tingzhu's landing, everyone immediately knelt on the ground and backed away, and soon the place where Xie Tingzhou was vacated. A piece of it, only him standing alone in the center. Xie Tingzhou walked forward. At this moment, everything on the earth was paralyzed. Therefore, even if the police knew about the arrival of the dragon god in such a crowded crowd, they could not come. Following Xie Tingzhu's steps, everyone around him knelt on the ground and retreated in tacit agreement, kowtowed to Xie Tingzhou, and shouted to the Lord Dragon God. After all, Xie Tingzhu's golden pupils are absolutely impossible to fake, and his magical skills descend from the sky. Is this something that humans can do? The crowd dispersed to both sides. Gu Venman originally wanted to hold the arms of her husband and son-in-law and kneel aside. He could not delay the Lord Dragon God from walking, but he did not know that Xie Tingzhou had already arrived in front of them. Except for Gu Venman, who was still looking after his grandson with his head down, the others were already kneeling there blankly, looking up at Xie Tingzhou, who was standing there. Seeing these people in front of him, Xie Tingzhu's memory came back again. To be precise, it was the memory about the plot line of this world. He saw that the original owner was born to the couple Xie Jinsong and Gu Venman, who were supporters of only children, so they only had one son after so many years. The original owner was very doted on by the couple. He prepared a house and a car early. When his son was in college, he had a girlfriend. After graduation, he asked his son to take her home and get married. Although the daughter-in-law was an orphan, both parents he passed away, but as long as his son likes it, everything is fine. It's just that Xie Jinsong and Gu Venman, the couple, saw their son graduate from college, get a job, and then get married. They thought they could live a happy and peaceful life, but their son disappeared inexplicably one day. At that time, The two people and their daughter-in-law Zuying immediately called the police and searched for a long time, but there was no result. There were many missing people in the previous period, and the couple felt that their son was missing. Zuying happened to be pregnant at that time, and this was her son's posthumous child. So Xiejinsong and Gu Venman were looking for someone while serving their daughter-in-law, putting all their love on her. Zuying did not care about her husband. If she disappeared, she would abort the child. Instead, she successfully gave birth to a son named Xiezihang for the original owner. After the child was born, her husband was still missing. Zuying went to work to shoulder the responsibility of supporting the family. Fortunately, the Xie family still had pensions, so raising a child was not a big problem. However, 4 years later, after discovering that there was still no trace of their son, the Xie family took the initiative and recognized Zuying as their biological daughter. They then transferred the son's original property to their daughter Zuying, and then supported Zuying's remarriage. Zuying was grateful to her father-in-law and mother-in-law. She didn't plan to get married originally, but she happened to meet a colleague who was also an orphan. The two finally got together under the arrangement of the Xie family and their husbands, and later they both lived in the Xie family. Zuying was so grateful for this husband. Fang Wenhuo gave birth to a son, named Fang Fangjun, who followed the Xie family. The elders of this family take care of the younger ones, and the younger ones work hard to take care of the elders. Fang Wenhuo is a grateful person. He followed Zuying and called her parents a year after they got married. The feeling of being an elder made this man who lost his parents also feel they like the warm atmosphere at home, so the two of them have been working hard to grow their children and save pension money for the Xie family and his wife. Having said this, do you think that Zuying is affectionate and righteous, and she did not abort her child because of her husband's disappearance? She is a good woman. Do you think the Xie family understands justice well, adopted their daughter-in-law as their daughter after their son disappeared, and allowed their daughter to have a family? Are they good parents? Also, Fang Wenhuo knew that Zuying had a son before they got together. Later, after they got married, he treated Xiezihang no differently than his own son. Even if they had a younger son, they all liked him and he was a truly good father. This family is all deserving of happiness because they all live sincerely, right? But the original owner is back. The disappearance of the original owner was not a disappearance, but a real death. He got drunk after work and fell into the bridge. Then he died physically and traveled to the world of cultivation. After arriving in the world of cultivation, the original owner turned into a dragon egg and spent 800 years in the dragon egg. After he was born, he was supposed to transform into a dragon directly, but instead he turned into a dragon. He could only transform into a dragon by continuing to practice. Real dragon. You must know that the fighting power of dragons in the world of cultivation is absolutely impossible for ordinary people to achieve. Therefore, the original owner's cultivation path is very smooth. Wherever there are good things, he will grab them. Whichever cultivation sect has good things, go and ask for them. If you don't give them to me, I will hit you. So after tens of thousands of years, he finally cultivated into a true dragon, stepped through the starry sky, and returned to the earth. It's just that the original owner came back earlier, and the people from the mechanical star hadn't come yet. He came in the form of a dragon, and first added infinite pressure to the earth. After arrogantly proving that he was the Dragon King, he turned into a human form. When he first appeared, the original owner set off waves in many places, caused many natural disasters, and destroyed many cities. However, facing such a behemoth, people on the earth simply could not resist. After that, the original owner turned into a human and returned home. He thought he could see his parents and wife again, but he never expected that his wife actually cheated on him. Living in his own house and married to another man? And my parents actually treated the man who cuckolded me as their son. Is this scientific? As a dragon who has been in the world of cultivation for thousands of years, the original owner has long been inhuman, and he does not have any sympathy for people. He just feels that his wife has betrayed him, and his parents have actually found someone to replace him. So the first thing he did when he came back was to slap his wife in the face. He deliberately used a panacea from the world of immortality to humiliate his wife, who no longer looked young. Then he dragged Fang Wenhuo, the man his wife was looking for later, up, causing him to experience cramps, bone-pulling pain. When this kind of behavior was going on, the parents, wife, and the child that the man later gave birth to even watched with their own eyes. He just wants to make his parents regret finding someone to replace him. Just to make his wife regret that she found another man after his death and didn't protect herself like a jade. When the leaders on Earth saw all this, they were powerless even if they wanted to help. After all, the original owner was actually a dragon. Can you still stop him from doing what he wants to do? In the end, Fang Wenhuo died from cramps and his bones were pulled out, and his biological son Fang Fangjun was burned by the dragon flames, leaving no powder left. The Xie family couple saw such a human tragedy with their own eyes and were so angry that they almost died. However, the original owner gave his parents medicine and deliberately let them watch all this. Then he began to torture Zhu Ying, thinking that Zhu Ying was not guarding for him. Was a wanton woman, so she deliberately poisoned Zhu Ying with the poison of the world of cultivation. Every morning, Zhu Ying's body begins to rot from the outside to the inside, and at the end of the day, it will recover again. The pain involved does not need to be thought of, and the original owner did not allow Zhu Ying to commit suicide, so he just let Zhu Ying live like this. The suffering seemed endless. In the end, the Xie family's parents did not expect that their son would become such a person, and they could not withstand the blow. They committed suicide while their son was away. The original owner forced his biological parents to death and was punished by God. It's a pity that the original owner survived it. The poor earth suffered another 9-day thunder tribulation. After that, millions of corpses were buried, and corpses charred by lightning were everywhere. The country has no choice but to defeat this dragon, so it can only endure and choose to recruit security. They have tried the most advanced technological power on Earth to defeat this dragon, but the final result was that the dragon destroyed a country. But now, seeing the dragon doing many evil things, there is no way to stop it. Under such circumstances, a black planet approached the Earth, and then the aliens from that black planet surrounded their Earth with space battleships. Each country had no choice but to beg the original owner, the giant dragon, to take action. The original owner also agreed, but he asked all countries to provide endless jewelry and beauties of all kinds, as well as those female stars who can be named. He said that dragons are inherently obscene and will protect the Earth, but humans also have to pay the price. In order to prevent the extinction of mankind, the leaders of various countries can only obey the arrangements. After all, in the face of such a behemoth, mankind has no power to fight back. The original owner benefited, so he naturally helped fight off these mechanical aliens, and even gained the worship of many people on the Earth. At his request, the people on Earth began to worship the dragon god. Under such continuous attacks by aliens, after causing damage every time, scenes of the original owner descending from the sky to save people kept happening. In the end, the original owner relied on such faith to open the space-time channel again. This time it returned to the world of cultivation without any hesitation, completely leaving the Earth behind, leaving behind the Earth that was mutilated by robots and eventually occupied. Humanity became the slaves of robots until their demise. At this moment, Xie Tingzhou saw everything that should have happened, and this time, Xie Tingzhou came earlier. He had already come to this world when he was still a dragon egg, so when he returned this time, he happened to be stuck in the machine. During the star invasion. After reading all the memories, Xie Tingzhou felt that he might as well go back and destroy the mechanical star. And his memory search was only a moment, and Xie Tingzhou moved his hand in his sleeve, and the Xie family couple and Zhu Ying and others who were kneeling on the ground were directly helped up by the non-existent existence, and then they saw the legendary Dragon Master on an equal footing, and it might be an old friend they knew. Gu Venman was directly stunned, looking at the Dragon Master in front of him who looked like his son, but he couldn't believe it. This person can turn into a dragon after death? Or, did he give birth to a dragon before? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 79. Xie Tingzhou looked at his familiar parents and his wife, who he had a relationship with back then, and smiled. He was now wearing a golden brocade robe, and with those golden pupils, he was out of tune with the people here. Even if he smiled at this time, he would not make people feel gentle, but rather kind, which was probably because of the red mole between his eyebrows. Dad, Mom, I'm Tingzhou, I'm back. He said this calmly, without any cool return of the Dragon King, without a bunch of younger brothers to make a mountain, and just appeared in front of his parents 10 years later. When he spoke, he should have been kind, but there was an indescribable distance. What did you say? Gu Venman was really shocked. Although he just wanted to say that this Lord Shenlong looked similar to his son, he just thought about it in his mind. He never thought that this was really his son? This is Lord Shenlong who saved the whole world. Could this be his son? Mom, don't you recognize me? Xie Tingzhou walked forward, bowed slightly, and let his mother look at his current appearance. His human body was dead. After entering the world of cultivation, he practiced differently from the original owner. The original owner practiced with various treasures, herbs and spiritual energy, but Xie Tingzhou practiced with national destiny. Not long after he was born, he supported a human emperor, and then helped mankind to develop rapidly, becoming a real god in the hearts of ordinary people at that time. Later, he relied on the way of transformation to become a dragon, so he could use the power of people's faith to transform it into power and spiritual energy. Xie Tingzhou came back this time to clean up the mess left by the original owner, protect the earth, protect his family, and protect all mankind. Are you really Tingzhou? As a mother, there are few people who are afraid of their children. Even if the child becomes the most powerful person in the world one day, in the eyes of the mother, he is still a son, still her own child, and may need her protection. Gu Venman, holding her grandson, really didn't expect that the dead son came back, but now he has become a dragon? Oh my God, isn't she the biological mother of the Savior? No, how did my son become a dragon? That Tingzhou, the dragon in the sky, is it you? Gu Venman's voice was trembling, but she didn't notice that the eyes of the people next to her looking at Xie Tingzhou were full of fear and awe, because only mothers would not have any fear in front of their children, no matter what their sons became. Yes, that's me. Xie Tingzhou nodded. He didn't expect that his mother would still be so affectionate to him after not seeing him for many years. He was a little happy in his heart, but when he looked at his father again, he found that his father Xie Jinsong's face was stiff and ugly. When he met Xie Tingzhou's golden eyes, he was a little panicked for a moment. Not to mention Zhu Ying also held her son, and this son was Xie Tingzhou's biological son. Fang Wenhuo on the side was also extremely vigilant, but he wanted to protect his wife and the Xie family couple behind him in a protective posture. He knew what he was facing. Even if he was facing a giant dragon that had just saved the world, he had to protect his family as a man. Who knows what this dragon means? Don't tell me it's here to cause trouble? Seeing Fang Wenhuo's reaction, Xie Tingzhou was actually very happy, because this man took care of Xie's parents sincerely after his death and supported Xie and his wife as his own parents. If the original owner didn't come back, the Xie couple would help raise the two children, and then they would have a good old age under the support of Fang Wenhuo and Zhu Ying. Mom, it's not convenient to talk here, let's go home. The Xie family never moved. Even if they made money later, they were reluctant to give up this old house. After their son disappeared, everyone thought he was dead, but there was still a little thought in their hearts, thinking that if their son came back one day, at least they knew where their home was, and their home was still here. As soon as Xie Tingzhou said to go home, Gu Venman nodded immediately, but she didn't think of the man in front of her as a dragon. Even if he was a dragon, what would it matter? This is my own son. Okay, let's go home and talk about it. A lot of things must have happened to my son. Gu Venman was really worried. She wanted to take her son home and ask him about the situation carefully. After all, she saw her son covering the sky and the sun in the sky before. He was so big. He was not a giant dragon at the beginning, right? He will grow up eventually, right? Then my son must have worked hard and suffered a lot to become such a powerful dragon now, right? Gu Venman felt distressed. If she hadn't been holding the child in her hands, Gu Venman would have directly pulled Xie Tingzhou. Xie Jinsong, Fang Wenhuo, and Zhu Ying were all stiff. Xie Zihang wanted to see the dragon master, but he was pressed on the shoulder by his mother and couldn't move. It was useless to struggle. Xie Tingzhou followed his mother inside, and then a sky-high golden light emanated from his body, and the golden light drifted to the people kneeling on the ground. At this moment, Xie Jinsong had never realized so clearly that his son was no longer a human being. Gu Venman saw the scene and asked her son directly. Son, what is this golden light of yours? Those kneeling on the ground are all from our neighborhood. They have been so caring to me and your father. Fearing that his son might hurt the neighbors, Gu Venman never spoke in a tactful way, but was very straightforward. Mom, I just want them to forget that I live here for a while. After all, I want to come back and stay with my parents for a while. Doesn't Mom want me to live at home? Xie Tingzhou explained to his mother, but these words really sounded like words spoken by a son, which made several people behind him feel a little creepy. Except for Gu Venman, everyone in the Xie family is actually quite afraid of Xie Tingzhou. When Gu Venman heard that his son was coming back to stay for a while, he immediately smiled even more. It's nice to come back, but our house is small. Your dad and I just saved money. I used to think that if you came back, we would change to a bigger house. Now that you have really come back, if you live at home, we just change to a bigger house and it will be more convenient for you. Thinking that my son's body is a giant dragon, how big of a house can he live in? Gu Venman has already calculated his savings and the savings left by his daughter and son-in-law in his mind, but he still feels that they are not enough. Soon the group entered the 10th floor. The Champs-Élysées community here is divided into apartments. After opening the elevator, Gu Venman called his son into the room. After opening the door, he entered the familiar room in his memory. It was more than 200 square meters. The house was a wedding house specially prepared by the Xie family for their son. They had been saving money since Xie Tingzhou was born. After all, many people in families that give birth to daughters may think that their daughters will get married and don't want to work hard, but those who give birth to sons, how can they not think about their son's future? They all worked hard to save money. The Xie family bought a house and a car for Xie Tingzhou right after he graduated, which shows how much they value their son. After everyone entered the house, Xie Tingzhou was arranged by her mother to sit down on the sofa in the hall. Zhu Ying quickly went to pour tea after realizing it, but facing her closest lover in this world, she once relied on him. Zhu Ying really didn't know how to deal with her husband, whom she had fallen in love with, and was frightened and panicked. Xie Jinsong sat on the sofa nearby, stiff, thinking to himself, why is his wife not afraid of her son? My son is now a dragon. A dragon that can defeat aliens. Gu Venman gave the grandson in his hand to Fang Wenhuo and asked his son-in-law to hold him. Then he remembered that his son didn't know there was an extra person in the family. Tingzhou, I just came back in a hurry, and I didn't introduce it to you. Actually you have been missing for 10 years. After discovering that you were missing, Yingying was found to be pregnant. Your father and I thought this was your posthumous child, and told Yingying to give birth to her. Here, this is your son, his name is Xiezihang, the name given by your father. Gu Venman directly pushed his grandson who was standing there at a loss. Gu Venman said, Hang Hang, this is your father, why don't you call me? He suddenly saw his father before. Xiezihang recognized that Xie Tingzhou was the same as his father in the photo, but now that he was closer, he was at a loss. He held Gu Venman's hand and did not relax, but secretly tilted his head to peek at Xie Tingzhou. The cute little eyes are ignorant, but full of curiosity, and the fair and clean face is exactly the same as Xie Tingzhou's when he was a child. Dad, Xiezihang shouted, but quickly hid behind Gu Venman shyly and did not see the smile on Xie Tingzhou's face. As soon as Gu Venman saw his son smiling, he knew that his son liked his grandson, and quickly introduced him. Tingzhou, I want to tell you something. Don't blame your parents, and don't blame Yingying. After Yingying gave birth to the child, your father, I, and Yingying were all busy taking care of the child. Yingying still this woman was really worried when she had to go to work. Later, she met this good boy Wenhuo. Your father and I brought Wenhuo and Yingying together. Now that they are married, they are Wenhuo and Yingying. Ying's child, named Fang Fangjun, followed our family's ranking. No one knew that you would come back, so now that things are like this, if you really feel resentful, just blame your parents. It was Mom's idea. It's not that he doesn't love his son, it's because he loves him so much that after his grandson was born, Gu Venman loved the house as much as he loved her. He couldn't bear to leave Zuying, so he thought that this was what happened to her and her husband. Zuying couldn't stay with her son all her life, so it was arranged for Zuying to marry another person and still live in Xie's house. They would take care of the children together. The atmosphere in the room was extremely tense, but Gu Venman spoke openly, while Xie Jinsong and Fang Wenhuo looked extremely nervous, as did Zuying. As men, they are more aware of the possessiveness among men. This man disappears and then comes back to find that his wife is married to someone else. This is a bit of a challenge for a man. Zuying was also a little scared. It was true that she said she had feelings for Xie Tingzhou, but they were for human Xie Tingzhou. For this Lord Dragon God, Zuying only felt fear in her heart. When Xie Tingzhou saw everyone's anxious look, he felt helpless and looked directly at his mother. I have known all this for a long time. Mom, my human body is dead and now I am a dragon. Marriage in the human world is a thing of the past for me. I came back this time because I also want to take care of my parents. Of course, Yingying, I am also very grateful. Thank you and your husband for taking care of my parents these years. He accepted all this, which made everyone present feel a little stunned. Only Gu Venman, a mother, heard Xie Tingzhou say that his human body was dead. His eyes suddenly turned red. He couldn't help but held his son's hand and let him said in a crying voice. My Tingzhou, have you suffered a lot? Did you feel uncomfortable at the beginning? Good man, he has a golden finger. Author, Zhanghu Buletin Jian. Chapter 80. What does death feel like? In fact, humans have all suspected that this feeling of dying is horror. Is it unconscious? Or pain and fear? Xie Tingzhou has experienced death countless times. He can tell you clearly that he was scared when he died for the first time at the beginning. Human beings' fear of the unknown death made him very afraid. However, after getting used to it, he understood that death is with a new rebirth. Xie Tingzhou is no longer afraid of death. Now being held by his mother's hand and hearing her choked voice, Xie Tingzhou could see the distress in the other person's eyes and the love a mother has for her child. Gu Venman's uncomfortable refers to Xie Ting's who's uncomfortable when the human body dies. She feels sorry for her son who has suffered like this and wishes she could take his place in his place. Xie Jinsong on the side also had red eyes. Although he was afraid of his son, when he thought that his son had really died before, would that person feel better when he died? And now the body has not been found, and I don't know what happened. I was drunk and fell into the water and died. My head was dizzy and I didn't feel anything. When I woke up, I had turned into a dragon egg. Later, I practiced in the world of cultivation to absorb spiritual energy, break out of the shell, and practice to become a real five-clawed golden dragon in 10,000 years. Mom, you don't have to worry about me, everything in this world is a test for me, and it's all cause and effect. What Xie Tingzhou said was correct. This time he returned to take away the last golden dragon in the world, and the golden finger of the original owner turned it into this golden dragon. If the original owner had not traveled through time, this golden dragon would have broken out of its shell smoothly, then grown directly in the world of cultivation as a true dragon, and then broken the starry sky and ascended to become a god. It was supposed to be a dragon that was respected by everyone and supported by both immortals and mortals in the world of immortality. Even when something happened on the earth, it heard the call of the descendants from the Eastern Dragon to save the invaded earth and guide the people of the earth. Take the path of cultivation. But they were all destroyed by the original owner. The original owner hid a heart of Long Aotian. From the moment he broke out of the shell, he was greedy and unbridled. He was notorious in the world of cultivation. Killing people and looting treasures was not normal, but it was what a true dragon should do. It makes clouds and rain, but does nothing to protect the world. It is an evil dragon, the kind that needs to be killed. Later, the original owner forced his parents to death, and the 9-day thunder calamity fell from the sky, which only punished the dragon and did not kill the dragon, in order to let the dragon save the earth and complete the cause and effect. All things in the world are interdependent. The dragon was supposed to be respected and save the world, but it ended up destroying the world. After the original owner returned to the world of cultivation, the cause and effect deepened, and he naturally died in the thunder disaster. After Xie Tingzhou appeared in the dragon egg, he embarked on a completely different path of cultivation from the original owner. He had no feelings about robbing treasures. Instead, he relied on his identity as a true dragon to save the world and was enshrined by the divine dragon. Now he is able to do this so powerful. Each of the golden scales on its body is the golden light offered by the people, so it can circulate spiritual energy and rain spiritual rain. This is cause and effect. Gu Venman's eyes were red and weeping as she listened to her son's words pass thousands of years by in a few words. Then Xie Tingzhou wiped her tears and she said a little stupidly, "Then are you still my son? You have become a dragon, are you still my mother's Tingzhou?" Probably only a mother would dare to ask such a question. The red-eyed Xie Jinsong still did not dare to approach Xie Tingzhou. Seeing his wife clinging to this Lord Shenlong who seemed to be his son but was not, he wanted to get close in every possible way, but he was frightened and worried. Fear. As long as my mother wants me to be, I will naturally still be her son. There is cause and effect between Xie Tingzhou and the Xie family husband and wife. It is the cause of kinship, and it will naturally lead to results. There is also Zhu Ying. He and Zhu Ying are husband and wife, and there are consequences. It comes back this time to put an end to this cause and effect. That's good, Tingzhou, no matter what you become, in mother's heart you will always be her good son. Gu Venman wiped his tears, knowing that his son finally came back. It would not be good to keep crying, not to mention that it was his son who solved the world crisis now. Gu Venman was extremely proud. She looked at Xie Tingzhou in front of her and said, "Mom is really happy to see you again now." Mom doesn't know what she wants to say, but are you hungry now? How about I cook for you? Let's take your favorite braised pork, I haven't eaten in so many years, do you want to eat the food cooked by your mother? She temporarily forgot whether Long wanted to eat, she just wanted to retrieve her past memories and give him what she wanted most as a mother to her child. Okay, thank you mom, but it's so late. Xie Zhou wanted to say that if it didn't work, he could do it tomorrow. After all, it was almost 11 o'clock, and for humans, it was time to go to sleep. Of course, everything that happened today was enough to keep everyone awake. I'm not drowsy. After having that spiritual rain, I'm full of energy. There happens to be everything in the kitchen. I'll go and cook it for you. You can chat with your dad for a while first. You can also chat with Yingying for a while. Gu Venman went to the kitchen to cook happily, and there was silence in the living room again. Zhu Ying didn't know what to say. Looking at her former husband, now a stranger, she could only murmur. I am going to help mom cook. She really didn't know how to face her former husband. She had long thought that he was dead for so many years. Now that he was back again, and he was not a human being, she couldn't afford it. She just wanted him to be well. As soon as she left, one of the two children was nestled in Xie Jinsang's arms, and the other was held by Fang Wenhuo. The atmosphere was extremely awkward. The three men didn't know what to say, but Xie Zhou thought for a moment and summoned two pieces of spiritual jade pendants from the mustard space. This jade pendant is engraved with a spirit gathering array. When worn, it can quickly absorb spiritual energy and improve cultivation. I gave these two pieces of spiritual jade to Zihang and Zijun. There are spirit gathering arrays on them, which will be beneficial to their practice in the future. Hearing what he said, Xie Jinsang and Fang Wenhuo's eyes suddenly shone, and then they saw the two pieces of spiritual jade automatically floating in front of the two children, and then gave birth to golden light to form a thread, just like this. The jade was hung around the necks of the two children, and no one could take it off. Seeing that both children equally had this jade pendant, Xie Jinsang was sure that his son really didn't care that Yingying married another man. Fang Wenhuo relaxed a little, knowing that the Lord Shenlong in front of him might have left. As for the existence of other people, he should look down upon himself and his wife, not do anything to them, and even benefit them. Tingzhou, it's good to come back, it's good to come back. Xie Jinsang finally dared to talk to his son, but he was not as fluent as he was in front of his wife. To face this son, he could only repeat such a sentence, and that was it, and he was sincere. How could Xie Tingzhou not see his father's closeness, so he took out 4 pieces of spirit-gathering jade suitable for adults from the mustard seed space. These 4 pieces of jade belong to you and mother, as well as Yingying and Wenhuo. Fang Wenhuo was even flattered by Xie Tingzhou's title of Fang Wenhuo, and he quickly thanked him after receiving the spirit jade. Thank you, Lord Dragon God. He did not call Tingzhou like other people in the family, but instead used the name Lord Dragon God to name Xie Tingzhou's true identity. Xie Tingzhou looked over and saw the fate line of this person at a glance. Fang Wenhuo was a man with a rough fate. His parents died early in his life, and he only got better later. In the fate line, he had new parents, 3 of them. Sons, one of them is Xie Zihang, which proves that Fang Wenhuo is a truly good man. You don't need to call me that. I'm older than you. Just call me brother Tingzhou like Yingying. When Xie Tingzhou and Zhu Ying fell in love, they called Xie Tingzhou brother Tingzhou. These words almost recognized Fang Wenhuo's status in the Xie family, and regarded Fang Wenhuo as Zhu Ying's husband. Then, thank you brother Tingzhou. I can see that my parents and Yingying are very happy that you can come back. Fang Wenhuo said that he was not sad because of Xie Tingzhou's return. On the contrary, he was happy for his family. In addition to being afraid that Xie Tingzhou would hurt everyone, now that he was sure that Xie Tingzhou had them in his heart, Fang Wenhuo was naturally happy. At this moment, the child in Fang Wenhuo's arms, Fang Fangjun, who was just over 4 years old, suddenly struggled out and rushed towards Xie Zhou. "Are you a dad too?" Fang Jun suddenly jumped into Xie Zhou's arms. Xie Zhou held the child firmly. The little guy was not afraid of people at all. At this time, he looked up at this familiar uncle. He heard his grandparents say that this was his grandparents. His son is also the father of brother Hang, so, he is also his father. Xie Zhou was holding such a soft child. Before he could answer, Fang Jun put his arms around his neck and kissed him. "Dad. Brother Hang and I both like you. We like you just like we like our parents." The child was so enthusiastic that when Xie Zihang saw his brother's behavior, he couldn't help but rush over and into Xie Zhou's arms. "Dad, I like you too. I like you as much as my brother." They are still young, and they actually don't know many things at all, but they understand that in addition to Fang Wenhuo's father, there is also a father in the photo. He said that he went to a place far, far away, and now he is back. The child is naturally happy. In order to build a good relationship between Xie Zihang and Fang Jun also called Xie Zhou dad after looking at his photo. Fang Wenhuo was a little nervous, fearing that his son would offend Master Shen Long. After all, Zijun and Zihang were different. Zihang was his biological son, but Zijun was not. It turned out that Xie Zhou liked both children, hugging them both and laughing. "I like you too, Hang and Jun. You will have 2 fathers in the future. I will treat you well like the rest of my family," he promised, causing Zhu Ying, who was coming out of the kitchen, to hear this. Her eyes turned red, and then she turned around and entered the kitchen again. This day is destined to be different for the Xie family, but it is a happy day. Gu Venman cooked a table of Xie Zhou's favorite dishes. Being surrounded by 2 children calling him daddy, Xie Zhou felt very good with his parents by his side. The domestic leaders have quickly established a national special dragon department to investigate matters related to the golden dragon. They investigated that the dragon transformed into a golden meteor and landed in Luoyang, seemingly in Linjiang County. So a team was quickly formed and rushed towards Luoyang.